Mike Matthews and other players will at some point probably have to explain themselves when they enter the transfer portal. You can go the James Pierce route if you want to and just not talk to the media for a year, which only hurt him, but you're hurting yourself. You're hurting your brand, and you could come off as a bit off-putting, which Pierce is facing right now with character questions. Unfair, I think, but the NFL guys go into this with their guard up because they don't want to look foolish by drafting the wrong guy. So Mike Matthews and any other person that enters the transfer portal should go out and speak about it and be open about it and be honest. It's our American society. It's capitalism. It is what it is. And I'm just curious what your take on what Mike Matthews had to say, Caleb. Does this make him any more endearing to Tennessee fans? Does the transfer portal even really matter as far as fandom? I'm not sure that it does.
I think what bothers me is I actually don't mind players that know they're about to be valuable entering the transfer portal and trying to leverage more NIL. That's the nature of the game. I don't like lying, honestly. I don't like pretending and them pretending they were feeling like a victim of some sort. So here's what Mike Matthews said. And you tell me if you believe him. I'm going to give you the full quotes. He talked about last year not basically being a factor during the season. And he said, quote, "It was definitely a tough situation I had to go through, looking back on his decision to transfer." And then he said, "But in life, you always go through challenges, and new challenges build you for the next moment. So just looking forward for what the future has for me and planning to make it a big one." Then he says later, "I pretty much built a family here. It was definitely tough, just like thinking about doing that. But just the family and the coaching staff and all my teammates really helped me make my decision." Nico came out and said he spent a lot of time with Mike Matthews during the season. This was so coordinated, by the way, by the media, just by the whole team, because Braylon Staley even comes out and says that it was kind of frustrating for Mike Matthews last year. Basically said it was frustrating for him not being able to be a factor in the offense. I don't believe any of this. I think Mike Matthews knew the minute he committed to Tennessee that he was going to be a non-factor his first year and then be a breakout star his second year. Okay?
Oh, I don't.
You think he really thought he was going to be the go-to receiver his first year?
I'm not saying you're not right, but that's not what you tell a recruit. You never tell a recruit that he's been told throughout the recruiting process what a huge impact he would have during his freshman season. There's no question in my mind.
So you think that did have a factor in him entering the transfer portal, not just him demanding more money?
Yes, and I'm not saying that Josh Heupel lied. I'm saying that when you get into the thick of the moment and a season's going on and you have to play two tights because your offensive tackles can't block wind, can't block anybody. Actually, wind would be tough to block. But, Caleb, I think you get in the thick of it, and Mike Matthews is suddenly on the outside looking in. That's the altruistic way of looking at it. I believe that Josh Heupel tells the guys they're going to have a big impact in year one, and he never has any intention of playing them in year one.
Either way, though, like, okay, you're either way, which either way you say it, then you're saying Mike Matthews and his feelings were justified at the end of the year.
Absolutely.
Wow. Okay. Let's make that a poll question.
Go for it. I don't understand. You should be. I saw enough in what he did in September. Was it against Kent State or was it against Chattanooga? Anyway, I saw enough where I thought he could be a factor. This offense, should be manageable. It shouldn't be that complicated where first-year guys can't come in and be a factor. But that's kind of what we're seeing. We're seeing guys come in, and now obviously with Cedric Tillman and Brew McCoy, there were injuries there. But we're seeing guys not have a big impact, whether they're transfer players at receiver, whether they're freshmen at receiver, whether they're quarterbacks, whether they're offensive guards. Yeah, I guess the only position where you've been thrown to the wolves would have been last year at the offensive tackle position. But I think there are probably a lot of guards like Sham Umarov that would have liked to crack at the starting lineup or more significant playing time than what he's received. That's just not going to happen. That's just not Josh Heupel's style.
Okay, so my poll question I'm saying is this. Did Mike Matthews test the portal because he was frustrated by his lack of impact in 2024? Answers, no, he's lying. It was about money. Or yes, he wanted to play more.
Well, I think it can be both because you can certainly feel a lot better about things. I don't know if you're having a tough time at work out there, our listeners or viewers, but it certainly would make it a lot better if you got a major raise. And I don't think he got chump change. I don't think he got a 10 to 20% raise. I think he probably got like 30 to 50% raise, if not more. They really didn't want to lose him. And also, Unsung points this out. I noticed that when he was on the field, he put forth effort in blocking. Yeah, I think the guy did everything right to be on the field. And I don't think that was what Josh Heupel ever had planned.
Well, this is kind of the unique thing about wide receivers, right? Is it's kind of like the hardest working ones can also kind of be the cancerous ones because they want to get the ball a lot. And the fact of the matter is, as a wide receiver, just naturally you have to share glory with other people around you, right?
Yes.
And so, I mean, this is just to go back to the NFL, Terrell Owens for a minute. T.O. obviously had wrecked 3 teams in the chemistry. But Dave, did you notice no one ever questioned how hard T.O. worked when he was in the game or how hard he played? He was the hardest working player out there, played harder than anybody else. He was just so emotional he couldn't get over if he wasn't playing enough. And also, I mean, he came back to the Super Bowl on a broken leg to play, and his quarterback decided to go get drunk the night before the game and threw up in the huddle. I mean, of course he was going to be frustrated by the Eagles with that. So with that in mind, it's kind of unique with Mike Matthews when you think about it that way. I do believe he played hard, but I can't imagine he thought he was going to supplant Brew McCoy last year or supplant. And so I thought that it was just kind of obvious that he was going to be a sporadic guy his first year. And then the next year, 2025, he would break out and become a star.
I would have totally agreed with you. I don't think he thought that.
Do you like that mentality that he didn't think that? Do you like the mentality of a player being like, I don't accept going to the bench?
Yeah, I don't like a guy it's okay with a year of. There have been some interesting cases. Nico's one. He had to put on more weight, right? I mean, I would have
Manning
played.
was one. He didn't want to start his freshman year. He
Right.
had to.
So, I mean, I don't think it's in your best interest to start as a freshman, but listen, these guys are going to make all kinds of decisions. They're not in their best interest. Dylan says, to me, Mike tested the portal because everyone left due to Kelsey Pope, and Mike was going to be the next one out. Then the rumors of Nico meeting with coaches and rumors of an offer for Nico to Miami. Now, there are 2 things in there. I've only heard that Kelsey Pope is popular among his players. So that surprises me. I don't know where you heard that. I'm not questioning it, but I am curious. And then Nico to Miami. I never heard that. I think Nico was all in on keeping Mike Matthews, which is why he took him to LA.
I think so too. And by the way, are we thinking about if this whole story is true, what we're saying, maybe we do need to reevaluate what we're saying about Nico's leadership. Because Nico, maybe that's why he took Mike Matthews to LA. And that does speak well to his leadership, right? That he could convince Mike Matthews to stay by working out with him. Maybe he knew what he was doing.
No, I think that's totally what that trip was about.
So let's give Nico a lot more credit than we've given him with that in mind. He didn't, I mean, that speaks to a level of maturity for Nico Iamaleava that we haven't seen yet. We thought Nico was I go do my job and go home. And you're saying he took an extra initiative to make sure that the receiver he wants the most stays.
Yeah, I think that's exactly what that trip was all about.
That's Peyton Manning level leadership, Dave. That's Peyton Manning going, and you know the story, right? Didn't Peyton Manning go to Jamal Lewis's dorm room when he was a senior? Jamal Lewis was a freshman, and didn't he basically say, I need you this year as a running back. I need you to learn blocking schemes now because we need you to start.
Yeah, but they had a problem with they got caught up in themselves with throwing the football too much in general.
That was the coaches, though.
Yeah, but
Peyton Manning himself wanted Jamal Lewis to really come on board, didn't he? That was Peyton pushing Jamal Lewis to become a freshman.
I mean, you'd be crazy. I mean, Mark Levine was your other player, but it's like if you go back and look, I mean, no offense, Mark, but if you go back and look at that 97 game, they didn't run the ball enough, period. I don't care who the tailback was.
But once Jamal Lewis got in there, they ran it more. It's just he didn't start the first 4 games of the year. And the reason he didn't start is he wasn't picking up blocking teams. My understanding is Peyton Manning was going to Jamal Lewis's dorm room and saying, you need to pick these up. I need you to start for me. I need you starting this year. Because Peyton Manning kind of knew his other running backs couldn't play.
Yeah. No offense, Mark.
Yeah. But that's leadership by Peyton because, guess what? What happened? Jamal Lewis became a starter and became a freshman All-American and honestly should have been a regular All-American that year. And that became the best. I don't care what anybody says. That 97 backfield, Peyton, Jamal Lewis. Find me a greater, more talented backfield in the history of college football. Peyton Manning to Jamal Lewis.
I wouldn't argue that. Only one of 8 people to rush for over 2,000 yards in the NFL.
And a Hall of Fame quarterback.
Yeah, and a Hall of Fame quarterback. I have trouble finding anybody that's been more impressive than that.